today we're going to be fitting Y62 rock sliders. They're all the same from Series 1 to Series 5. The real early Series 1s don't have the hydraulic suspension, so they'll have a few less clips and bolts you've got to take out. But as far as they fit, they're absolutely identical. So the middle U's obviously a U around. There's a few things we've got to undo, which I'll show you on the car. Front one's used, there's some spare cross member holes for the gearbox cross member that don't get used. We'll use them again. Bar that, there's nothing should need to be drilled or anything like that. So I'll run through what we have to unclip on the car, ready for putting them on. So each side's slightly different, what we need to undo. So we'll run through both sides. So working from the front, the very front hydraulic line, this bolt needs to be removed. It's an 8mm bolt, 12mm head, and bend this up out the way, or twist it up out the way. Middle foot, we'll run through that in a minute. Rear foot, again there's another bolt at the top here, and move the tab up out the way, ready so that M8's vacant. And the rear fuel tank guard, its rear fine threaded bolt needs to be removed. So for our middle U clamp to go around the chassis, to get clearance, like to get your hand in there to get clearance, we normally take under this one heat shield, it's a 6mm bolt, M10 socket you'll need, pull this down out the way, and then on the top of the chassis there's a couple of hydraulic lines which you can't see but they're up on the top, which need to be pushed up. I normally push them up and put an extension sitting on top of the rail up through here. So push the lines up with your fingers, tuck that in. That way when you get the slider fitted and you're trying to negotiate the bolt in there, the extension's holding it up out the way. When that's all said and done, it's nice, you don't want them rubbing together. You can put a bit of rubber or something in there if you want, or if you just push, like bend the line a little bit so it's not actually chafing on the bolt, that's fine. Obviously remove your extension later. This side, I've already got one sitting on here to show us. So same deal, it's a U clamp in the middle. You undo this, you need a 10mm socket, 6mm bolt, and let these lines drop down. That lets you get that bolt over the top, because it's a very long bolt, to get that in. These two things to be undone aren't crucial, but it does make the job a lot easier if you get them prepared. So this side, much like the passenger side, you've got the one bolt at the front and lift the tab up out the way. We've already shown you what to do with the middle. Now this rear side's slightly different, as in it has the hole there ready for the bolt, but it doesn't have a captive nut in the chassis like what the other side does. So we're just going to remove the one bolt at the top, which again has that hydraulic line clip, bend him up out the way, and have that all ready to go. And everything this side then should be ready to go. When we do go to refit it, we're going to tuck a nut on a stick up in this hole, which will let us have a mounting point for there. We'll cross that once we're fitting them off. If you're fitting these in your driveway at home and you're going to try and do it on your own, you can put your trolley jack under the middle U, which will hold it up there. It's much nicer to do it with a friend. We want to try and get the back lined up first. Because the chassis tapers, as you go up it naturally tries to slide forward and can make it quite awkward. So we always aim to get this bolt, which is going to go through this hole here, which is nice and easy to get to. Try and get that in first with the back up. That locates it, then push the front up and we'll get the one M8 bolt in the side of the rail, and that will hold it there. Then you can patiently get the rest in there. So you pull that down in there. With our rear bolt on this side, it's the fine threaded one, which is going to the original captive nut. Because the fuel tank bash guard shares the mount, we actually, because this is a press bracket, we like to put a washer behind there and then bolt through. That way when it does up, it actually doesn't rattle, because it'll pull up against here and it doesn't actually go tight if you don't have the washer behind and sandwich it all, and this rattles and will drive you bonkers. Now that we've got that in, we've got every bolt in. So our top one, got our clip back folded down and our M8 through it. Rear bolt, a big 12th which goes through with a nut on the back. Our one on our U, our two gearbox cross member lower ones, and our M8 in here, again with the top tab folded down and done up. Now I like to tighten the rear up first and then work our way forward. You can use a trolley jack if you need to hold it so it's parallel with the sill, because where you do it up, it will stay. So if you need to come up a bit at the front at this point, we've got plenty of adjustment. Get it sitting so it's parallel, do everything up, and then we need to go back, put our little nut back on our heat shield on this side. Bar that, this side's done, and then we'll work over to the other side. So now that we've got them all done up tight, sitting nice and parallel, we've got all our bolts tight, so everything's sitting up nice and tight like it should, and we're all happy. We've put the little 6mm nut back on the hydraulic lines, so they're up out the way and done. Our last thing on this side, which differs from that side, is we don't have a thread in this hole. So obviously we've still got to bolt it on. So it'll come with a nut on a stick. These have got the little notches so that they can be bent wherever suits you, in whatever way, like that, to suit what you need to get whatever angle. So what you want to do is up through here, negotiate it so you can see it through the hole, and then through there, line him up and do him up nice and tight. Once that's done, we're a completed thing. Let it down, double check everything is tight, that all your clips are back on. It's critical that your little hydraulic line ones are folded back down and you've shared the bolt back again so that they're not going to chafe around on anything. Make sure any hoses on top of the rail that you've gone under have got adequate clearance, that you've bent them up out the way. By that, you're a completed thing.